9:20.
Yeah, we have time. We have 20 minutes at least.
We have time to remember what it's saying.
Everybody should give tzedakah b'tzibur. A word from the Rebbe.
Okay, in Hilchos Beis HaBechira, when you look at the beginning of Hilchos Beis HaBechira, it's also the beginning of Sefer Aveda. So Vartzach Neigen, that you have the Rambam begins each of his 14 Sforim begins with a pasuk, and the pasuk for Sefer Aveda is in the Rebbe's capital. Shalo Shlem Yerushalayim Yishloyo Avoyach. So it's called Sefer Aveda. The emphasis is a pasuk before that, because in the Kisvi Yateman, in all except for Sefer Amad, you don't have it. B'Shem Hashem Keleilam was in the Rambam's original Ksav Yad, and the reason it's not in Sefer Amad, but Pashtus, it's over there by the Hagdama, where the Hagdama of Mishlateres, the Rambam brings the pasuk over there. Koponim, the Rebbe spoke about the connection of this pasuk to Sefer Aveda in general, and Hilchos Beis Bechira in particular a number of times. He spoke about in Tovshan Lamed Vav when he first spoke about Bechal, the idea of learning Hilchos Beis Bechira, and Tovshan Mentes, the Rebbe spoke about it, and the Mugad Sikha, the Rebbe uses it as a yesod for the main Nekuda. So the main Nekuda about the idea of learning Hilchos Beis Bechira, I'm sure we've all learned the Sikha before. It's actually the Sikha, one of the three Sikhas this week in Project Lukut Sikhas, the famous Sikha Cheluk Yud Ches. The Rebbe explains together of what is the significance of learning Hilchos Beis Bechira. And the Rebbe brings out that it's not just, like when bring a carbon, that Keren Lefonai says in the Gemara that if you read before me the Karbonis, it's as if you brought a carbon. So then what's Pshat? Pshat is that it'll do the Pa'ula. There are different connections, how it could be related to a carbon. The Rebbe first compares it, speaks about, in the Parsha it speaks about the death of Aaron, and it says that just like, compares Reifus Beis Elokeinu to the idea of Histalkos Tzadikim, you have the same inyan of Tzadikim, that their Pu'ula goes on forever, but the Rebbe points out that you say that Mazar B'chaim, Mafu B'chaim, since the Deker Chaim of a Tzadik is Chaim Ruchnim, so then you can have the Chaim, which is to the Talmid, it's also Chaim Ruchnim, but that's all it says in Geras HaKedesh. So you don't need the Gashmis, but how can you say over here through learning the halachas that are Beis HaMikdash, it's as if you're building the Beis HaMikdash. You need a binyan Gashmi for the binyan Beis HaMikdash. What's Pshat? You could say it's not the same thing at all. The Rebbe brings out the Nukuda of the Sikha. There's many dargas how it could be compared, but the Rebbe brings out the V'asel Mikdash for Shachanti B'Seicham is a mitzvah l'deiros, and a person is obligated in that at all times, even if for whatever reason he's unable to fulfill it b'gashmias mamish. And the Rebbe brings a few dugmas. He said that the idea of tshuva, there are certain averas a person does, and in order to finish off his tshuva, he has to bring a carbon. So what are you supposed to do today? A person did something to be obligated to bring a chattas. And said, now they can't bring a chattas. Does that mean the tshuva is incomplete? The tshuva is 100% complete. He can't bring the chattas. He can't bring the chattas. He can't do it b'gashmias. But the tshuva is 100% the tshuva. It says by Ger Tzedek that he needs mila, tvila, but also mitzvahs, hartzoras, carbon. He's got to bring a carbon also at the time of the Beis HaMikdash. Now he can't bring a carbon. So chatzi ger is a Ger Tzedek 100%. He didn't bring a carbon. So he didn't bring a carbon. He can't bring a carbon. That doesn't mean there's anything chasr in his pa'ula. So too, the Rebbe brings from Tanchuma, although the Tanchuma shaila is passing from a medrash that the Geder halachas, that the Rebbe brings it up in the Rambam from this pasuk al Kaponim, famous medrash that the Rebbe tells Yecheskel, go tell the Yidden about the Nevuah I gave you, how the Beis HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt, and the Yecheskel answers the Eberster that they're in Golis and they can't build it. Why should I tell them? Wait until we're back and we can build it. Then I'll tell them. So just because they're in Golis, binyan Beisi should be bottled. So what's pshat? Yeah, you put them in Golis and the binyan Beisi bottled. They're in Golis and they can't build the Beis HaMikdash. Of course it's bottled. So the Rebbe learns that no, it's not bottled. When you learn the halachas, then the binyan Beis is not bottled. The Rebbe said there are many ways you can see that we have different inyanim that you do zeichel hamikdash. Zeichel hamikdash. So we have a pasuk that says you have to do things to zeichel hamikdash. The Gemara brings the pasuk in Yirmiyahu that says ain't derish law that it's destroyed and there's nobody being derish the base of mikdash. So Michlal the boy Drisha. So we derive from this, the Gemara says that you have to keep looking after and remembering the base of Mikdash. So therefore, the Gemara speaks about different things which are done Zeichel Mikdash. So here we have a pasuk that speaks about remember the base of Mikdash. So why doesn't the Rambam bring this pasuk? So the Rebbe says, because that pasuk is only talking about a Zeichel of remembering something that happened in the past. The Rambam wants to bring out something that's happening in the present, that you're doing the mitzvah of Asali Mikdash V'Shachanti B'Seichem by learning the halachas of the Beis HaMikdash. You're actually being Makayim the mitzvah B'Peil Mamish. And he brings a dogma that we have by the Korbanes, that to call Ha'isik, B'Teira Seila, Kila Hikravayla, the Gemara says, and other Korbanes, and brings down the Lashon over there. And the Rebbe brings down, the Lashon is, according to some Al-Kopanim of the Mefarshim, that it's mamish a geder mitzvah. So there are different midregas that are lower than that. You can have it that it's done only zeichel hamikdash. You can have that you get the same schar as if you brought an eilah, or you can have that you get the kapara. You learn, you study teres chatas, so it's ke'ilah hikriv chatas, that the same kapara, the atonement that would happen through the chatas, that you're going to get through the learning the teira of the chatas. Okay, but that's still a step short of being mamish makayim the mitzvah. You could learn it as a hechsher mitzvah, so you're learning about the korbanos, so you're learning about the base of mikdash, so when the time comes, you'll be able to do a pal mamish. So that means you're doing it now for something that's going to happen in the future. The Rebbe says the gather from learning hilchos base of bachira and al derech zeh learning teira of the korbanos, the asek, the teira seilo, or the asek in the base of mikdash is a gather of actual mitzvah. That it's mamish a mitzvah. Anyway, that's mainly taken from the Tanchuma. The Rebbe has different rayas for it. We see it by the Korbanos. The Rebbe compares the Korbanos to Beis HaMikdash. The ganze Riches in the Sikha with many fascinating rayas. But one of the Rakanshers that come back, the Rebbe says that the Rambam is maram is this whole inyan by bringing the pasuk at the beginning of Sefer Aveda. Now, what do we see from this pasuk, and why did he not bring the pasuk? So we said, why did he not bring the pasuk that the Gemara brings? Because that's only a zeicha for something that happened in the past. What's the pasuk that Rambam brings over here? Shalu Shlem Yerushalem. Shalu means that you have to investigate, you have to ask about it, and you have to learn about Shlem Yerushalem. That you have to get down, to the prati pratim. It's a very interesting thing that Rebbe Tzeichen Tzu. It's a Gemara in Sanhedrin that says the Dorashta v'chakarta v'shalta heitiv, yeah? Dorashta chakarta, yeah? V'shalta heitiv. So, remember, quotes the Gemara in Sanhedrin, that how do you see that there's 7 bedikas? So you have the Inyan Chakira, Chakarta, then you have a Dorashta, and then you have Vashalta Heitev. What's Vashalta? So actually, the Vashalta by itself doesn't really mean anything, but when you put it together with Heitev, so then that's something also. Then we have another 2 psukim with 2 droshes each over there, Dorashta Heitev, and you end up with 7. The Rashi in Chumash says you don't daven Vashalta by itself to be one of the Chakiras, but it's bedikas. So what's the difference in Chakiras and bedikas? Chakiras is there was only 7 bedikas finished, which part of the year of Shemitah, what was the year, what was the month, and all the details. So it's only 7 finished. When a person doesn't know, one of the Eidim doesn't know one of these 7, so then he's possible Eidos. What is the Eidim of Bedikas? Bedikas gets down to the Prati Pratim, so ask him. And when the murder happened, the figs on the tree, were the stems black or white? And you ask all of these Prati Pratim. So the person said, how am I supposed to know? I don't pay any attention to the figs on the tree. Somebody's getting killed. I'm looking at the figs on the tree. The uktzim with the figs on the tree. He said, I don't know. So then, if he says it, if one of the Eidim says the opposite of the other one, then this is batal. But otherwise, Rashi in Chumash learns to say the Indian from Sha'alta goes on Bedikas. not the Chakiris, not the Chakir and Drish but on the getting down to the Prate Pratim. So the Rebbe says that's in Vashalu. Vashalu is you have to go after the Prate Pratim and you have to learn all the details of the Beis HaMikdash. So the Rebbe said, what do you have to worry for when the time's going to come? What's going to be? He says, Mashiach is going to build the Beis HaMikdash. So he says, well, you have every right. If you learned all the details, you're going to see Mashiach is building the Beis HaMikdash. The Rambam Pasendach, the Mashiach builds the Beis HaMikdash. And you see that he's doing something, and one of the details is not according to what the Rambam says. He says, then you should go over to Mashiach and say, Kveid Melech HaMashiach. It's built in I don't know that's what it says in the Rishima. Kveid Melech HaMashiach. But it says in the Rambam like this. And either he'll answer you or he won't answer you. It'll be it's interesting. The Rebbe brings down another Inyan. He says, Bachlal. So we're saying you didn't do the mitzvah completely. Okay, so the main main thing is chassid. We don't have Beis HaMikdash b'peil. We can't bring the korbanos b'peil. So the Vosli Mikdash is not just learning the halacha. So you say that it's begeder mitzvah. Good, so it's begeder mitzvah. But l'peil, the Beis HaMikdash is not here. So what good is it? So everyone goes weiter. The Rebbe says that, and even when the Beis HaMikdash is built by Mashiach, it's also not b'peil. Why is it not b'peil? The Rebbe brings down the 2 days. Who's building the Beis HaMikdash? As it come down, the Bonim B'Shuchel Min HaShamayim, or Mashiach builds the Beis HaMikdash. And there are many ways of being matavach these two things. Many places the Rebbe gives many terutzim to this. And so one of the answers is that Mashiach and Bnei Yisrael will build the Beis HaMikdash. And then, in order to give the nitzchias, because the Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi is not going to be destroyed, as Taisus Yom Tov says in Surah Habayis, why is it? It wasn't just they couldn't figure out Yecheskel. There are many things they didn't know what to do in Sefer Yecheskel, but there are many things we do know from Sefer Yecheskel. You see all the drawings have Sefer Yecheskel. There are some things that they figured out, the halacha that they could have done when they built the Bayis Sheni. So he says that they didn't want, because they knew that was supposed to be a Bayis Nitzchi. And they knew this one was not going to be a Bayis Nitzchi, so they didn't build it that way. It had to be built in such a tzura, in a physical form, that when the Eibush that is Mislavish is going to be united, the Shechina, in such a way that it'll be a Binyan Nitzchi and it's never going to be destroyed. So this Inyan, the Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi, is a Binyan Nitzchi, even if you build the whole thing perfectly with all the details according to the way Mashiach builds the Beis HaMikdash, so weiter it's not finished, the third Beis HaMikdash. You have to wait. You cannot do it on your own. So what are we going to say? That you're not being Mekayim the mitzvah, you built the whole Beis HaMikdash and it's not complete because the Eibush was not mislavish in it? Versteht sich allein that you fulfilled the mitzvah but in your Beis HaMikdash. So Derech Zeh, the Rebbe says that now we're building the Beis HaMikdash through learning the halachas. And Al Derech Zeh learning the karbones. It brings from Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Hilchos Talmud Torah, but the Alter Rebbe brings down that if a person, I should also mention, when the Rebbe spoke about learning Hilchos Beis HaBechira, I think it was Toshem Memches, the Rebbe said, versteht sich, his din kedima is to learn the halachas of the 3 weeks and the 9 days. First thing you have to learn halacha l'maisa. Then after that, you have to learn Hilchos Beis HaBechira. You have to learn Hilchos Beis HaBechira, but you have to clear halacha l'maisa. Call Yisrael b'cheskes kasha. Certainly, everybody learned. There's foreign in all different languages, and everybody knows what to do. But that has din kedima. So the Alter Rebbe in Hilchos Talmud Torah Perek Beis, Alter Rebbe says the same thing. The person has to learn halachas atzrichas, and then if the person has time, so then. This is Perek Beis Halach Yirav. Yesh lo lasek tchila b'seder kodshim. K'meshomer chacham kol eiste b'teiras eila kilu hikrevela. That was Medayik when it says in the Gemara, Keirim lefanai teiras eila. So then it'll be mechaper for you. The Rebbe said that Korim lefanai, that you're reading before me. So Mitzad, you're reading it before me? Okay, good, you're reading it before me. So I'll take care of the Ruchnias and I'll make for you a kapara. Asik means that you're getting down to the nitty gritty with all the pratim, and that is a Geder mitzvah. The first one is not a Geder mitzvah. This is the Geder mitzvah. That's in your Asik. So therefore, if you're able to learn all the laws of all the karbonos completely, so the Rebbe brings us down that we see over here that he also quotes, the Rebbe quotes the union of Asek, that the union of Asek, that means it's begeder mitzvah, and therefore you kaim a mitzvah with it. a lot to say more, but just to get back to the kapitel. So that's the inyan with Shalu Shalem Yerushalayim. That the inyan from Shalu is they have to learn all the pratim of the Binyan Beis Hamikdash and all the karbanos and so on and so forth. It says Yerushalayim. It says Yerushalayim. So that brings down to Yerushalayim. See, according to the Rambam, he says the Mikdash Leiba Medina. The Mikdash over there, according to the Rambam, means Yerushalayim. And it brings other places when it says Mikdash means Yerushalayim. It says Yerushalayim, it means the Mikdash. He quotes a thesis over there that the Iker Kedusha of Yerushalayim is only because of the Beis Hamikdash. And saying Kitchul Hashaita, Kitchul Lasid Lavi, is it Shaykh that it should be that the Beis Hamikdash will not have its Kedusha and Yerushalayim will not. So thesis says how is it possible such a thing? The whole Kedusha of Yerushalayim comes from the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. If it's bottle the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash, versteht sich allein that Yerushalayim does not have the Kedusha. And the Rebbe points out that the whole rest of the kapitel we see, every word come out to the kapitel, but he's showing bechelech. So the chel, that's part of the Beis Hamikdash. Shalva Arman Asoyech, which kind of armon are we talking about? But Pasha is talking about the armon, is talking about the Beis Hamikdash. It brings her other ways of learning it also. But the Nakuda is that we see, that's what the Rebbe said, that what it says in Tanchuma, that it's begeder mitzvah, the Rambam is maram is this right at the beginning of Sefer Aveda by putting this posik, Shalu Shlem Yerushalayim. And just to mention one other thing I came across, never really noticed before, the Rebbe's man Mekemis, Rabbeinu Bechaya says it, Teisvis Yomtiv says it, even the Beersheva, Shalu Shuvas Beersheva says it, and the Rebbe brings down that the Inyan not only learning the way it is al pi halacha and learning the Inyan of Binyan Beis Hamikdash, the also Inyan of Binyan Beis Hamikdash learning the way it is al pi sod. And the Rabbeinu Machai is mamish mafli the Inyan of what Gedel Ayin of learning everything the way it is in the Psukim, learning the way it is in Teira Shabbal Peh, and learning the way it is in halacha, and the learning the way it is al pi sod. And then certainly we'll see b'peil mamish the Binyan Beis Hamikdash tak begashmis b'shleimus.
Amen. I still need a few people for Siyumim for the 9 days until 15 B'Av. If anybody is available, please let know.